Hi, these are the answers to our review for our test. First three here ask us to solve the same equation by three different methods. So the first one is factoring. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal -21 and add to equal 4. Those numbers are 7 and -3. Check it out. 7 times -3 is -21. 7 plus -3 is 4. We're all good. So now I say, well, what could make those 0? And that would be -7 or +3. So that's solving it by factoring. All right, now for completing the square, I'm going to get rid of the back number. Again, you can use your sheet with the 5 steps on it to help you with that. We're going to take half of the middle, half of 4 is 2, and we're going to square that. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm adding that to both sides. Now this will now factor into x plus 2 times x plus 2, or x plus 2 squared. This will then become 25. All right. Now we're going to take the square root, and I get x plus 2 equal to positive or negative square root of 25, which is 5. Subtract 2, throw that right in front. I'm going to get x equal -2 plus or minus 5. So -2 plus 5 is 3, and -2 minus 5 is -7. And I notice that it's the same two answers, which it should be because it's the same equation, right? I get to 3, and we want to solve this by quadratic formula. So A is 1, B is 4, C is -21. So I'm going to get x is going to equal the opposite of b. The opposite of 4 is -4, plus or minus the square root of b squared. 4 times 4 is 16, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. So that's going to be -4 plus or minus the square root. If I do 16 minus 4 times 1 times -21 on a calculator, I'll get 100. 2 times 1 on the bottom is 2. The square root of 100 is 10, because 10 times 10 is 100. And then I'm going to go -4 plus 10, that's 6 divided by 2, or -4 minus 10, that's -14 divided by 2. And if you do that, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and -14 divided by 2 is -7. Again, the same answer as all these other ones. So what do we notice about our answers? They are the same. Because it's the same equation. So it doesn't matter what method I pick. I can do whatever I want. As long as I do it correctly, I'm going to get the exact same answer every time. So now page 2 wants us to solve by specific methods. This one asked us to solve by factoring. So I'm trying to find two numbers that multiply to equal -36 and add to equal -5. And eventually I'll get to -9 and +4. -9 times 4 is -36. -9 plus 4 is -5. And so that means x could equal +9. 9 minus 9 would be 0. Or -4. -4 plus 4 would be 0. There's my answers there. As far as square roots go, I'm going to get the squared term by itself, so I'm going to divide by 4 here. I'm going to get x minus 5 squared equals 81. Then I'm going to take the square root. X minus 5 equals positive or -9. Then I'm going to add 5, put that right in the front there. So x equals 5 plus or minus 9. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. 5 plus 9 is 14. 5 minus 9 is -4. So not too bad. Get the thing, the squared term by itself, take square root, and then go from there. Completing the square, we're going to get rid of the back number here. So I'm going to subtract 4. We get x squared plus 8x, leave a blank, equals -4. Now I'm going to take half of that. Half of 8 is 4. Square that. 4 times 4 is 16. We're going to add 16 to both sides. So this then factors into x plus 4 times x plus 4, or x plus 4 squared, equals 12. Take the square root. X plus 4 equals positive or negative square root of 12. And then if I subtract 4, put that right in front, we get -4 plus or minus square root of 12. And that's our answer there. As far as quadratic formula goes, I've got a equal 1, b equal 3, c equal -11. So x is equal to the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared. 3 times 3 is 9, minus 4 times 1 times negative 11 over 2 times 1. Which means x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 44, which is 53, over 2. Now, the square root of 53 doesn't work out nice and neatly, so I'm just going to leave it like that. There's our x's. For the rest of the assignment, we're given freedom to pick whatever method we want. So if I'm thinking about methods, first thing I'm going to be looking for is factoring. Does my equation factor? Because that's pretty quick and simple. All right. If I have just an x squared or x minus something squared, then I'm going to think about square roots. Okay. And then the last is the completing the square quadratic formula. I mean, that's really up to you. I would maybe complete the square if the middle number is even. But otherwise, you know, quadratic formula is actually pretty simple to work with. I might pick that above the completing the square. So if I'm looking here, I'm thinking about two numbers. Can I think of two numbers that multiply to equal 12 and add to equal negative 8? And I can. That's negative 6 and negative 2. Negative 6 times negative 2 is 12. Negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8. And so if I solve that, I get x equal to 6 or 2. Those are my answers. For this one here, if I want to do factoring, I have to make sure it's equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 22 first and get x squared plus 9x minus 10 equals 0. Now, can I think of two numbers that multiply to equal negative 10 and add to equal 9? And we can. Positive 10 and negative 1. So x equals negative 10 or positive 1. Now, we're not, just because I did these by factoring doesn't mean you couldn't have done completing the square or quadratic formula. It's just the way that I thought was easiest to go. Right? Same thing on number 10. I noticed that everything's divisible by 5. So I'm going to pull that 5 out of x squared plus x minus 20. And now I'm thinking about two numbers that multiply to equal negative 20 and add to equal 1. And those numbers are positive 5 and negative 4. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. 5 plus negative 4 is positive 1. So that checks out. So that means x can equal negative 5 or positive 4. Now you could have done quadratic formula on this. A is 5, B is 5, C is negative 100, and it would have worked out nicely for you to hear. This is a little bit quicker. Right? Or even 11. I have just that x squared term, so if I want, I can add the 81 over and get x squared equals 81. I take the square root, and I get x equal to positive or negative 9. Now you could have factored that into that as well, or done any of the other methods, but to me that was a pretty quick way to do that problem. All right, now I get number 12, and I see I have just 5x squared. I just have an x squared term, no x around, so I'm going to isolate that. I'm going to get that x squared by itself. I get 5x squared equals 60, divide by 5, we get x squared equal to 12, and then take the square root, and we get x equal to positive or negative square root of 12. Pretty quick, pretty simple. On 13, I'm trying to think of two numbers that multiply to equal negative 16 and add to equal negative 8. So negative 16 and 1 isn't going to work. Negative 8 and 2 won't work. Negative 4 and 4 won't work. And then I'm out of options. So this doesn't factor. Much as I might want it to, not going to be able to do it. So now I'm thinking I can't do square roots because it's not just an x squared. It has this x term. So I either have to do completing the square or I have to do quadratic formula. Now it does have an even middle number. So if I like that completing the square, I can go ahead and do that. Get that term over there. Take half of the middle, which is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. We're going to add 16 to both sides. And then we're going to factor this. So this factors into x minus 4, or x minus 4 squared. And this over here becomes 32. Now take the square root. We get x minus 4 equal to positive or negative square root of 32. Add 4. Put it right in front. And I'll get 4 plus or minus the square root of 32. And that's our answer. Number 14, we're going to need this to equal to 0, so I'm going to bring this 4x over. We're going to have 3x squared minus 4x minus 3 equal to 0. Now that's not factorable, at least not in any way that I can see completing the square. Even though that's even, we have this 3 here, and that's going to screw things up. So this is really a quadratic formula problem. A is 3, B is -4, C is -3. So we're going to do x is equal to the opposite of b. The opposite of -4 is 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared. -4 times -4 is 16, minus 4 times 3 times -3, all over 2 times 3. So this is going to give us 4 plus or minus the square root. And if we do this, I believe we're going to get 52 up in there. 16 minus 4 times 3 times -3 should be 52. And square root of 52 does not work out nice and neatly, so let's just leave it. That's our x's right there. All right. Then we get this last one. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 72 and add to equal 6. And you actually could do this as 12 and -6. 12 times -6 is -72. 12 plus -6 is 6. So we get x equal -12 or 6. So again, I always look for factoring first because it's quick and simple. But certainly if you used a different method and got those same two answers, that would be for full credit as well.